Humanity entered an unusual evolutionary corridor the moment medicine began shielding people from ancient selective pressures. What happens to a species when death becomes negotiable, suffering becomes treatable, and survival becomes largely engineered? The logic of natural selection begins to dissolve, and a new kind of evolution rises in its place, one shaped by culture, foresight, economics, and narrative, rather than by climate or predators. Biology hands the steering wheel to civilization. This handoff raises a strange question. When a species gains the ability to predict its own future, does that foresight inspire continuation or caution? Many demographers argue that the decline in fertility across industrial societies reflects a deep cognitive effect. The more clearly people see uncertainty, the more heavily they weigh the risks of parenthood. This dynamic, the Foresight paradox, shapes behavior exactly as a high-intelligence organism would be expected to behave. A mind capable of projecting decades ahead can easily talk itself out of impulsive biological commitments. In a sense, cognition becomes a counterweight to reproduction. The phenomenon becomes planetary when entire societies undergo the same shift. The Great Quieting, visible in nearly every technologically advanced nation, resembles a global murmuring of hesitation. Birth rates drift downward, even when resources remain plentiful. Why would abundance coincide with retreat? One explanation points to the architecture of large brain life. Greater intelligence demands greater parental investment. Greater investment amplifies the consequences of uncertainty. Uncertainty increases with the scale and complexity of civilization. The entire system behaves like a species entering a new equilibrium, shaped by information. This transition leads to a profound evolutionary question. If biology slows, where does continuity come from? Every intelligent species must find an answer, because the alternative is extinction by inaction. Humanity has begun to lean on technology for this purpose. Machines already replicate through factories and automated supply chains. Software spreads through servers and satellite networks. Knowledge stores rebuild themselves through backups and redundancy. These systems behave like a second lineage, one that propagates through design instead of DNA. It raises an analogy. Biological reproduction once served as the printing press for intelligence. Now, technology serves as the printing press for civilization itself. Machines do not replace humanity in this analogy. They carry intelligence across time the way libraries carry memory across generations. A hybrid regime emerges. Humans supply creativity, emotion, ethical reasoning, and the restless curiosity that no algorithm has yet captured. Machines supply stability, replication, and the ability to endure conditions that biology finds overwhelming. This combined architecture resembles a symbiotic organism composed of neurons, circuits, and symbols. The longevity of the species depends on the coherence of the whole, rather than on the fertility of individuals. If this pattern truly reflects the nature of intelligence, it invites a cosmic question. How many civilizations in the universe reached the Foresight paradox before they developed lasting hybrid systems? Perhaps the stars are quiet because many species grew wise enough to imagine their own futures, yet failed to build new structures capable of carrying them beyond demographic contraction. The silence may be the signature of countless worlds where consciousness bloomed briefly, calculated its risks with admirable accuracy, and slowly withdrew. This scenario gains force when we consider evolutionary analogies. A candle burns brightest before it extinguishes. A star enters instability just before forming new elements. A neural network collapses toward equilibrium unless given new input. Intelligence might follow the same rhythm, an explosive burst of creativity followed by a phase of hesitation. And then, only if circumstances align, a leap into a durable form. This leads to a final speculative question. What does a mature civilization look like once it survives the bottleneck of its own foresight? One possibility resembles a planetary-scale organism where biological minds, artificial infrastructures, and long-lived information systems fuse into a single adaptive network. Such a civilization would leave faint signatures, because efficiency acts like camouflage. It would produce stability rather than noise. Its presence might resemble a quiet star field. We won't find it as a shouting beacon. Humanity appears to be standing inside this transition. Medicine reshaped the selective landscape. Culture replaced genetics as the driver of adaptation. Foresight introduced hesitation. Demography responded by contracting. Technology stepped forward as a secondary lineage. And now a large question hovers over the species. Can it combine biology and technology tightly enough to create continuity that survives the Great Quieting? Every civilization that ever reached intelligence likely faced the same sequence. Some failed. Some may have succeeded and slipped into the cosmic background. What about us? Will we become one of the quiet worlds that turned away, or one of the rare species that solved the paradox of its own awareness and carried consciousness into the far future of the universe?